welcome to an Everyday Canines video. In this episode on early takeoff syndrome, I want to talk to you about tunnels and how early takeoff can affect tunnels. Tunnels are something that you can sometimes notice early takeoff syndrome on. Again, like with all these little different aspects and quirks, it can depend on the dog. Some dogs with ETO, you may never notice any issue with the tunnels whatsoever. Some dogs with ETO, you may notice that only problems occur when the tunnel is dark. When the tunnel is dark, they can't see the opening very well. It all becomes a bit of a blur. In actual fact, I actually think that ordinary dogs struggle with this as well. I've seen this happen to dogs that I've never ever noticed early takeoff syndrome with. My Sheltie Merlin, who I used to run, and bless him, he did not have early takeoff syndrome. He jumped beautifully and perfectly. However, interestingly, one time we had him looked at by an ophthalmologist, not for any reason, it was to do as part of a study on Shelties. And they discovered he did not have the cones in the back of his eyes that enable dogs to have night vision that's superior to humans. He effectively saw at night like a human does. It had never affected him. I had never noticed any issues of him at night or anything. So it was just one of those things, those quirks. I would never have known about it unless they told me. However, there was a certain venue we used to go to and it was quite dark and they put quite dark coloured tunnels in it and he could never find the entrance to them. So it's just something, just quirky interest. It made me think that after I learned about this thing with his eyes, that maybe actually knowing that dog vision isn't as good as human vision in general, perhaps that was a factor. And I actually think that the lighter and brighter a tunnel is, the better for a dog to go through. I don't like dark tunnels, so all my tunnels you'll see are really bright, either yellow, I've got a bright pink, so the dog can see the entrances really well. However, though light and dark may affect it, it's not the only factor. Another factor, potentially, when we talk about sunshine, and the sun is coming out a bit more here now, is shadows, going from darkness to shadows. If you have a course set up where there's a lot of shade and there could be a lot of shadow coming across, and the dog is coming from one area of bright light to darkness, it's going to affect any dog, because all dogs, as I say, they don't have as great as vision as we do, so it's going to affect any dogs. But a dog with early takeoff is going to struggle even more because everything's going to get difficult to see and they are heavily affected by lighting conditions. So if you have a tunnel, say, that's tunnel mouth, as in a patch of shadow, and the dog's coming towards it from the light, they may not be able to find the tunnel entrance. I've seen this over the years with Sparrow. She's a keen tunnel monster. However, there have been the odd occasion when she hasn't been able to find an entrance. When she was younger, she'd just go for it, and I have seen her collide with a tunnel bag. So she's coming at this entrance and she can't see the entrance properly, and for whatever reason she thinks this is the entrance and she's hit the tunnel bag. She did that not so long ago, actually a couple of weekends ago, and again she was coming up to a tunnel, she wasn't sure where it was, she banged on it. I notice with her that there's a certain side that she's worse on, and I speculate, and this is my speculation, but it does, I've used a lot of videos to look at it, I speculate that her vision on her right is worse than the vision on her left. And the reason I picked this up, last summer I was doing a lot of blind tunnel entry work. So a blind tunnel is where the dog can't see the entry, they just have to rely on you telling them where it is. And then they have to pick it up. So you say tunnel, they go, well, there's a tunnel entry somewhere around there, I've got to find it. And what I noticed was, when I sent Sparrow out and the tunnel entry was on her left, so say I was here and I sent her there to this, say I was here and sent her there, the tunnel entry is on her left. She could find it. When I had to send her and the tunnel entry was on her right, she had trouble. She either pulled off or she went all the way around and came around the back. And I started to chart this. It happened once and you think, well, it was just a quirk. I started to chart this, I started to record it, and I realised there was a pattern to this. And I notice it now. I notice it when there's a tunnel and she's having to pick it up mostly on her right hand side, there is always a chance she's going to miss the entry, especially if I stop. So if, for instance, this was a curved tunnel, which is not, but imagine that's a curved tunnel. And imagine I was sending it here, I'm going to pick her up here, And I wanted to just send her, turn and pick her up. And she's coming at this tunnel and she's coming at it, so she's on her right side. There's a good chance that as she comes here, she will start to, if I do that, which I could do if any of my other dogs, not issue, and I could usually do it on other tunnels, she'll start to bark. She'll go, I don't know where the tunnel entry is, I'm going to refuse it, I'm not sure, bark, bark, bark. If, however, I keep flowing with her around the curve, she's much better and she's usually will nail it. And again, I notice this when she's, again, it's the right hand side, not so much the left hand side. I'm not saying she's blind or anything on that side, of course I'm not. I'm just saying that there's obviously a bit more of a quirk there on that side, which makes it harder for her to pick up the differences in the colour of the tunnels and where it is based on its surroundings. How much of this comes down to ETO and how much is a training error? That's a good question, and it's again, it's a difficult one to answer. Like with all things of ETO, you always have to speculate. Is it the eyes, or is it just something, you know, am I saying it's the eyes, but it's actually something that we could train through? With a lot of experimentation with Sparrow, and with this particular scenario that I could see that she, on video, I had it all videoed, and I could see that she always failed on the right hand side, this made me start to think there is that issue with the vision. However, sometimes I think she refuses tunnels because I stop. She's a very emotion-based dog, as we've already talked. Now, an emotion-based dog, how do you, if you were handling your dog silently, how do you teach them to stop and move or turn away or not take an obstacle? You stop. If I'm running at something, take it. But if I stop and I'm turning, you turn off. That's how the dog learns to not take the wrong obstacle. That's how you do it if you're not using words or very rarely using words. Now, if I'm doing this at a tunnel and I come up to the tunnel and I turn too soon, it's possible the Sparrow will go, oh, she doesn't want me to take the tunnel, she wants me to turn with her. Or I come here and now I stop suddenly, sharply, she goes, oh, does she actually want me to take that? Or does she want me to stop and pull off? Because she's using my body. And my body is more important to her than the words that are coming out of my mouth. So this is just something to bear in mind. If you are having troubles with your tunnels, it's something that you need to look at and start filming it, record it, start to build up this catalogue of videos so that you can see, is there a consistent issue here? Is it always when she's trying to turn on that side? Let's see if we get a blind entry out of here, huh? So this is the left-hand side, which you're usually good at. Tunnel, tunnel. Good girl. Now, right-hand side, can she do it? Will it be more problematic? Tunnel, tunnel. Good girl. So I say it's a good day for her. The lighting is perfect. Good girl. So she nailed that okay. But there are a lot of times when she isn't nailing that and not getting there. As I say, it's one of those quirky things. Because I'm now trying to move back into motion-based handling with her, away from distance handling, I'm seeing an improvement in her skills again, which makes me wonder just how much that factor of me trying to push her to do things on verbals was causing a problem. And whether now we're going back to more motion-based handling, she's getting it again and she knows what she's doing. So it's just these little quirky things. It's something to bear in mind. And as I say, if you record things a lot, you may see, oh, I'm always having a problem when she does this tunnel in this particular type. And it may be a simple factor of you changing the way you handle that tunnel. Say we're found with curved tunnels, if I follow the curve of the line with the tunnel rather than trying to do ketchkas and things, she's much better. So it's just one of those factors, and it may be just a way of a quirk that you can work around and find a way that suits your dog and that increases their confidence instead of denting it. And by doing that, you're doing well, you're having success again. It's one of those things, it's just learning your dog's quirks. Anyway, I hope that's made sense. And if you have any more questions about tunnels and ETO, or maybe you've come up with a different quirk that I haven't mentioned, please comment and ask questions, and we may discuss it in a later video. If you have enjoyed this, you might subscribe to the YouTube channel, and you can also check us out on Facebook and Instagram. And I hope to see you all again very, very soon.